If you're watching this video, there's a good chance that your husband or partner is actually pulling away from you, and it's triggering so many deep survival emotions for you at the moment. And I know that that is such a painful experience for you. So in today's video, I'm going to talk you through a few mistakes you want to make sure you avoid at all costs if you're going through this experience right now. Now make sure you hit that subscribe button below, click on that bell notification as well, so every week you get access to my latest videos where I talk a little bit more about male psychology and relationships, what you can do to really save your relationship or marriage, and then also what you can do to heal from the inside, which ultimately leads to beautiful shifts in relationships. Now, going through this experience that you're going through right now is so difficult, so painful on so many levels. And whenever I speak to my clients, you know, some of the biggest challenges that they face is when their husband or partner is starting to pull away. And naturally what happens is they then put their energy only onto that person, and they end up becoming really desperate and just obsessing over that individual, and often doing things that are sabotaging their ability to move forward and progress in the relationship. And we want to try and avoid that at all costs. I know it's difficult, I know it's hard, I know you're going through a really tough time, but I'm going to explain to you 4 really important mistakes you want to try and avoid, and then what you can do to be able to move forward and really heal and transform and ultimately maximize your chances of saving your relationship or marriage. Now, the first mistake that I often see is where you value more of the other person's emotions and feelings than you do of your own self. Now listen, I get it. You know, when your husband or partner is pulling away, you know, that's threatening your very foundations. You know, you've built a life together, whether it's been a short relationship or a long-term relationship or marriage. You know, you've spent some really, really quality time, some deep, intimate times with this person. And at a human level, you know, we crave certainty, we crave security, and we are social creatures, so we love that connection. And when that connection, as well as potential livelihood, is being impacted, that then rocks your foundations. So it is natural to want to pursue that person, to almost become obsessive, to become desperate and so on, to try and hold on to that very thing. But the difficulty is, the more we push, the more they pull away often. And not only that, but we put all our energy into that person. We value them and what they're experiencing so highly because we think, if I can just get them to change, then everything will be awesome again. And so you value the other person's emotions so much more than your own. And when that happens, you know, you give yourself the breadcrumbs, the scraps at the end of the day. And that's never enough to fill yourself. And I'm a big believer in intention. And if our intention is coming from the right place, if it's coming from an authentic place, if it's coming from a loving place, but also it's coming from a place where you are able to feel grounded and centered and secure in your own self, it allows things to move forward and progress in a much better way. And there's something magical that happens when we find that sense of security on the inside. You know, even when I think about the clients that I've worked with in the past who've been able to save their marriages, they all had one mindset that created a shift. That was, they knew that if this works out, great. If it doesn't, I'm going to be okay. But also, their priority was their own healing. See, when we fill ourselves up, we know that we are enough just as we are. That energy then gets projected out towards that other person as well. So they start to pick up on things. They start to see something's just changed a little bit, or there tends to be a little bit more magnetism that comes with that. But when we're empty on the inside, equally that person picks up on that same energy. So you've got to start valuing yourself. And when we only put our energy into the other person and not into ourselves, that's a recipe for disaster and can cause all sorts of problems. The second mistake is where we succumb to the ego. Now, I mentioned this in previous videos, but we have 2 parts to ourselves. We have our ego and we have our spirit. Our spirit comes from love, is light, is authentic, knows that we are enough just as we are, and ultimately is who we are at the core of ourselves. But then we have our ego. And think of our ego as our identity of who we believe we are in terms of intellectually and in terms of mentally. And that ego, that identity is formed over the years through different experiences. And in relationships, the challenge is that our ego runs the show so many times. When we have moments of love, of genuine present moment connection with our partner, we're often in our spirit. But more often than not, we're living in our ego. We're feeling like, well, I haven't got the attention that I wanted, or he was so mean to me, he was so critical of me, or he did this to me, or he did that, or she did this, or she did that, and so on. So we live in our head so often. And when we are living in our ego, our deeper core wounds come to the surface. We feel like we're not enough. We feel like we're not worthy of love. We step into that trance of unworthiness and ultimately feel like, the problems that have existed have come about as a result of our own issues rather than what the other person's going through. We personalize it at such a deep level. And because we feel like we're not enough, then that runs the show. We identify with that part of ourselves. And when we identify with that part of ourselves, if we feel at a deeper level we're not good enough, guess what happens? Then the relationship becomes a reflection of what we're feeling on the inside. And then that gets translated into behaviors in the relationship. Not only that, but we succumb to what we call the shadow. The darker parts of ourselves, the negative thoughts that take over on a regular basis, those negative emotions. And when that shadow takes over, we then forget to put our energy into the parts of ourselves that we do admire and that we do love. There's no light there, it's all darkness. We want to start shining the light on ourselves. We want to recognize that we are enough, that we are beautiful, that the very core of us is neither superior nor inferior to anyone, that we are wonderful just as we are. We have to start shining the light on that part of ourselves. The third mistake that I see is where individuals step into their rescuer energy. Now, in spiritual terms, some people can hold on to their energy, what we call the rescuer energy. And when they see their partner, going through some tough times, struggling, often some men might say, look, I'm finding it so hard, I just need some space from you, I just find this whole thing too difficult, I love you, but I'm not in love with you, and so on. Then because they've had these wonderful times, they feel like, look, we can just make this work. I know we can. But it goes deeper than that. They actually have a part of themselves that loves to try and rescue people. That they often find and are attracted to people who are going through some tough times so they can bail them out, so they can help them out of it. They can rescue them from difficult situations. Now, that can be patterns that they've run over the years when they were younger and so on as well, or it may be behaviors that they observed from individuals that they were close to when they were younger as well. So these patterns do exist, and when we focus on rescuing the other person, then we often prevent ourselves from seeing that person in the light that they actually are. We see some of their flaws, we see some of their challenges, some of their wounds, but rather than putting it in their court to resolve, we then take on that role of trying to fix it for them. And that can cause huge problems in relationships as well. And not only that, but it prevents us from being able to try and resolve the situation with that person because we're not empowering them to create the shifts that they need to make. All we're doing is saying, I can try and fix this myself. I can try and do it all. I can try and heal it. And then it often has the opposite effect. So yes, the intention is lovely. You want to try and resolve things. You want to heal. You want to try and rebuild that foundation. But if we're doing it just to satisfy that rescuer energy inside of us, then it's unlikely that we're going to get the outcome that we're actually hoping for. Remember, it's not your job or responsibility to heal the other person. Their challenges are their challenges. You can support them, you can guide them, you can sometimes plant seeds and so on to help them on their path. But it is not your job to fix theirs. It is your job to work through your own patterns, your own challenges, to heal those, to bring out the best version of yourself so that you can show up in the most beautiful way for the other person. And when we are letting our spirit lead the way, we always have a level of intuition and a deeper part of ourselves that tends to know what it is that we need to do to manage the situation that we're in at that moment. If you feel like you need to speak your truth, then you speak your truth. If there is a moment from time to time where you feel like you need to step in and actually tell them what to do, you do that. Sometimes it might be a case of just planting a seed and saying, hey, listen, have you tried this? I actually found this really, really helpful when I was going through some challenges. It might be something that you're interested in as well, and so on. Things that you may have experienced that have helped, it might be something that you can support them on. Or it might be saying, you know what, this is their issue and I need to let go of this, and I need to trust that the universe, God, whatever, is going to support them on their journey, and let go of it. I know it's hard. I know that there's going to be a part of you that will want to step in as much as you can, but occasionally we have to step back, to pull back, to detach from the situation and move forward from there. And the fourth mistake that you want to try and avoid is projecting your past trauma into your current relationship. Now, once again, this is really, really challenging because, you know, we all have our wounds. We all have challenges that we've had to deal with when we were younger and so on. And the thing with relationships is they will always magnify those deeper wounds that we're holding on to. No one will bring out those wounds like your partner does. It can be so challenging, but we've got to be mindful of it. And what I'm referring to is when you were younger, what was your relationship like with your parents? Did you have to deal with some trauma there? Did you develop beliefs of feeling like you're just not good enough? Did you feel like you were rejected all the time? Did you maybe have to deal with some narcissistic parents and always felt like things were your problem and that you were the issue and that you just had such a low sense of self-worth? Maybe you've attracted someone into your life that reflects back to you the feelings of unworthiness and not being deserving of love and feeling rejected all the time and so on. And not only that, but how did you manage that? Did you overcompensate and become a people pleaser? Did you always try and put on a brave face and pretend like everything was okay when deep down inside you were hurting at such a deep level? Do you sometimes end up in a situation where you're hiding in the corner, not literally, but you just go quiet and you shut down, hoping that the other person will come to you and, you know, chase you and say, hey, how are you, honey? Is everything okay? And so on. What patterns do you run? Because those patterns can be really destructive in any relationship. Now, like I say, I know how hard this is. I've done this many times in my life, but the thing is that you've got to make sure that you have the awareness and the intention of wanting to work through those things. Because if we keep our own patterns running and we're always feeling like we're not good enough, or we're feeling rejected, or we're feeling like we're going to be abandoned and so on, then those wounds will be projected into the relationship, and then they will sabotage things as well. So you've got to make sure that you're working through those things and really confronting them and having the courage to do so as well. I promise you that when you step into that courage, you find that strength on the inside just to confront it, and you take the necessary steps that you need to. It is so, so liberating. It is such a powerful thing to do, and you will be so grateful that you did it. Now, easier said than done, right? And that's why I always encourage people to make sure you get the support that you need, whether that's, you know, through a friend or through a coach or through a therapist or someone that can actually guide you on this journey and help you to work through those things. And I can tell you right now, like I've had, you know, coaches over the years and so on as well, spiritual healers, etc., that have all been instrumental on my journey towards healing and transformation. And I still have more work to do as well. So always know that when you show that courage and you face up to some of these things, it's a really powerful thing. Now, if you are wanting to go a little bit deeper into your own journey and create that healing and ultimately be able to save your relationship or marriage, then I'd love you to be a part of my program, The Authentic Relationship System. It's an amazing program. You're going to go deep into your own growth, your own healing, your own transformation through really difficult times. And especially learning to transform some of those emotions that just sometimes feel completely locked inside and unable to be released as well. So if it's something that feels right for you, if you connect and resonate with what I'm talking about, then in the description section below, just click on that link which just says book a call with me. Just click on that link, choose a time that works for you, and then I'll contact you at that scheduled time just so I can learn a little bit more about your situation and ultimately just give you a pathway to be able to move forward and help you to heal, and also be a part of just an amazing community of women who are going through some tough times but equally making some incredible shifts on their journey. So once again, just click on that link below, choose a time that works for you. I can't wait to speak to you at the scheduled time. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you've liked it, make sure you hit that like button below. If you want to get more videos like this, hit that subscribe button. And do let me know if you've got any questions or you've got any takeaways from this video. Just make sure you write them below and I'll go through and respond to every single one of you. If you want to learn about the power of walking away and how it can actually make you attractive to your partner, just click this video above. Thank you so much. God bless, and I'll talk to you in the next video.